听，为此法会集一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐，殊证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahudi samya sambuddhoshe.
Namo sadanto suchetoye erlahadi samyang sambuddhoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. Now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄大家，阿弥陀佛, Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture today. Appreciate the Dharma request, Kevin. Today is Sunday, November the 16th here in the Gold Coast of Queensland, and it is Saturday evening, November 15th, back in California. Glad you're with me tonight. We're going to be exploring the next piece of the Avatamsaka Sutra, particularly the chapter 39, the entering the Dharma realm, merging with the Dharma realm chapter, the pilgrimage of Sudana. And this is one of my very favorite pieces of Buddhist literature because it's an epic tale, a pilgrim out to see if he can get enlightened in a single lifetime. And in fact, he succeeds. And we get to go along with him on the pilgrimage. So what a treat. Let's see our Dharma request here. We've done the Dharma request. Let's do our invocation to bring in the gods and the dragons and the eightfold pantheon of spiritual Dharma protectors. We do it with a melody. Namo Tha Phang Guang Pho Yen Jing Yen Hai Ho Pu Sa. One more time. And furthermore, we would like to respectfully acknowledge the Kombumerri people of the Ugambe language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where our monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 我们恭敬地承认与冈贝语族的孔布马里人，是我们寺院所在地，这里在这个 Queensland 澳大利亚这个东南角这里他们是我们所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。We have a custom before beginning a lecture to send out the sound of a bell as far as the mind can reach. We want this sound to penetrate through to the nether regions to help beings on the wholesome vibrations of this bell to wake up and to leave suffering. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报贪我厚德。Alrighty, there we are. I want to say how much I appreciate all the volunteers who helped bring this lecture out to all of you. We have tech volunteers both in California and here in Queensland. We have translators who give their time selflessly to bring my lecture into Mandarin and into Vietnamese. And further, we have volunteers who request Dharma, who translate and prepare the texts. So many hands, many hearts working together because we love the Dharma. These are ancient, true stories from the beyond human civilization. It's kind of like humans follow these sutra texts because they belong to a core of our nature and as consciousness that we do well to preserve. It's important that these stories survive, and these principles. So it works together. When the stories survive, they make it possible for humanity to come in to the picture, as well as other living beings, and to follow the principles to out a gateway into a realm that pre-exists humanity. Humanity is just one expression, kind of like a flower bud from a deeper root, which is the root of Bodhi and awakening. So luckily we met a teacher who brought our minds, brought our awareness to it and said, pay attention. He said, you're going to spend 90 minutes, if you want to follow me, you spend 90 minutes every night and twice on the weekends to learn these stories and to learn about these principles and to put them into practice. And so we signed on to do that work. And that's why we come back week after week to investigate. Now, we have with us today friends from Northern California, here in southeastern Queensland. Let's see here. Also friends in Hong Kong, Alameda, Montreal, Canada, Sacramento, Ukiah, Perth. Where else? Burlingame, California, down to the airport. Alameda, Foster City, Union City. Let's see here, Bay Area, Elk Grove, Calgary, Oklahoma. And then a large number of friends from Asia, including people in Beijing, Harbin, Hebei Tangshan, Taipei, Jilin, Tangshan, Xini, Tianjin, Xi'an, 黑龙江，那里，淮南市，张家口、深圳，海宁 ，OK， 江苏，呼和浩特，南京，珠海，还有什么地方？还有，let's see here，苏州 and 山东 ，OK， good， 欢迎各位，welcome everybody. I want to mention now that should you have any questions that are on your mind based on the cultivation that you're doing, or questions about the Avatamsaka, I particularly welcome those. Please do type them in to the chat box here or in YouTube, and we will try our best to get to them. So the volunteers are translating those questions into English so I can understand them as hopefully as you have asked them, so then we can get to them. Today I'm lecturing from the broadcast towers here at 102 Benogan Road, Gold Coast Dharma Realm. There is a Shurangama mantra session taking place in the Buddha Hall here at the Gold Coast Dharma Realm. So they're reciting away for an entire week over at the Buddha Hall, and so I'm giving them space so we can have these two Dharma events happening simultaneously. Alrighty, let's get to our text. Here we are. Now, what's going on? This is Rufa Jepian entering the Dharma realm. Sudana, our hero, is traveling through India historically, but you could take it as a kind of an a geographic. It's a story that is not limited to India, so it's India and beyond. He's traveling at the instructions of Manjushri Bodhisattva to meet teachers who are going to answer his questions about the Bodhisattva path. And each of the teachers sends, after they pass on what they know, they send him on. They send him to the next teacher. So we're now at teacher number 7. And let's see here. He is 7, right? Yes. Ocean Banner. Hai Chuang Bicho. And each teacher, he asks, can you please teach me how to cultivate Bodhisattva practices and walk the Bodhisattva path? And they ask him in turn, they say, have you made the great Bodhi resolve? And he says, yes, I have. And they say, excellent, excellent. You're our man. Here's what I know. Then they pass on their instructions. So currently this teacher, Hai Chuang, Ocean Banner Bhikshu, is in Samadhi. He's depicted as, we've got his photo, I'll show you. Not his photo, we have his image. There he is, okay. Here he is right here. And in Samadhi, as he's sitting there, from all the different parts of his body are issuing multitudes of beings, each one different. Here is Sudana down below watching this happen. We have clouds of beings with musical instruments, so those are Gandharvas, musical spirits, or possibly Kinnaras, musical spirits. We have Devas, we have Bhikshus, we have gods. there are dragons, there are Buddhas, there are bodhisattvas, there are asuras, there are dragons, nagas, all these different beings, 14 different categories in all. And they're emerging from different parts of his body progressively up to the top of the head where the Buddhas come from. So that's what's going on. And yeah, that's pretty out there. And as a result, we are, at the same time, we're finding out how Ocean Banner can do this. And he wants Sudana to learn. And then Sudana absorbs the lesson and gets sent on down the road to learn lessons from the next teacher. Now, when Master Hua explained these texts, he would, whenever there was a new topic, a new Dharma category, or a 佛教的那个名相，佛教的用语 Buddhist technical vocabulary, or some principle, or as they say at the seminary, some phenomenology, some aspect of the religion. Shifu would pause. He would explain it to us and tell us, oh, what this means is, and he would tell stories from the tradition. So we got the absolutely pure milk from the cow, so to speak. We got the straight dope on how Chinese Buddhism and the Mahayana tradition, in the Jiaozong, the teaching school, the school that passes on the words the Buddha spoke, divided mostly into Tiantai and Xianshou. So we're the Xianshou, focusing on the Avatamsaka, that school of traditional school. He would give us the background and any related stories. So I thought, since Ocean Banner is giving us, what did we learn? Take a look here. When he started out, first came wise and clever, first came countless, hundreds of thousands of millions of multitudes of elders, lay people, and Brahmins. That was the first one. And this is, given that we're going to wind up with Buddhas coming out of his top of his head, this is the lowest group. Not to slight them, but just to say you start somewhere. And these are lay people who have lives in the world, but still distinguish themselves as spiritual beings as well. And they're coming out of the soles of his feet. So we got elders, lay people, and Brahmins. Elders would be people who had practiced for a long time. Lay people would be people who had already taken a step into the religion, perhaps taken refuge, got a Dharma name, regularly made offerings, made up the assembly when there was a Dharma event. Brahmins are religious neighbors from Hindu and Brahmanical neighbors of Buddhism. Depending on how you look at Buddhist history, some people will say because Shakyamuni Buddha was a Kshatriya family, was the prince of a king, a ruling family. So you'd have to, and because that family was not Buddhist, there was no Buddha yet, much less any religion organized around Buddha, no Buddhism. So they had to be Hindu. And Hindu is not a name that any Indian natively calls himself. Hinduism is a name given by the West to look at all the different schools and sects and groups of religious believers in India, which includes Shiva and Shakti and Vishnu and Krishna, and all of the different groups that the Shaivites and the Vaishnavas, all the different groups that over the many thousands of years were active and are still active in Mother India. So from that large collection of beings, They're not Christian, they're not Muslims, they're not Buddhists. They're Hindus. That's the name that we give them. So some people will tell you, okay, Buddhism came from Hinduism. Well, sort of. They overlap, certainly. And today is one of those days in what we encounter when we meet the elders, laymen, lay people, and Brahmins, and then next we meet wise and clever Kshatriyas and Brahmins. Clearly, we're looking at slices of Indian society through the lens of religious identity. So yeah, it's a crossover. It's kind of like saying Catholics and Protestants. They're all Christians, but they don't necessarily agree with each other. They have places where they overlap. They read the same Bible. The same way, the religions of India share a foundation in the Vedas and the Puranas and the Mahabharata and all of the ancient Brahman, Sanskrit-based, Pali-based, other classical religion languages of India. Those texts produced all the different gods and all the gods' followers. So that's Mother India, It's the source of what we're looking at here through a Buddhist lens. So these overlap, and I don't think that's confusing. I think it's pretty clear. If you look at Europe and the Middle East, you could say, oh, this is Judeo-Christian. Yeah, Judaism, Christianity, Judeo-Christian, share a single Bible. The Christian side further divided into Catholics, Protestants, Eastern Catholics. The Protestants divided into Presbyterians, Episcopalians, Lutherans, Baptists, Methodists, Church of Christ, and on and on and on. So that's just the nature of religion. So here we're looking through that lens, back at history, right here in the Avatamsaka today. So we've got elders, lay people, and Brahmins. We have Kshatriyas and Brahmins. Kshatriyas are one of the four castes. They're the rulers, they're the kings, the warriors, the military. Definitely aristocrats, landholders, landlords, wealthy. Those are, by and large, Kshatriyas. And Brahmins, that's the second group. Last week, we heard about immortals. Immortals, which is not a religion. There's no organized immortal religion. But definitely in India at the time, there were rishis. And rishis are dedicated spiritual adepts who used methods to preserve the body. China knows about Taoism, Taoists. Similar. There's a lot of crossover between rishis and spiritual adepts. Okay. That was last week. What else did we hear about last week? Dragons. Oh my goodness. We looked at all kinds of pictures of dragons last week. We heard stories of dragons. We learned the names of dragons in the ocean, dragons in the land, dragons in the air, dragons in space, all these different dragons. And they were busy making offerings. We learned about dragons that make it rain. There's even the story in San Francisco in the Gold Mountain days, 1976, when Master Hua convened a praying for rain ceremony at Golden Gate Park after years of drought and made it rain. We went out into Golden Gate Park in the amphitheater and the buffalo fields and did the ceremony from the book called the Chanman Ersong, the breviary, the daily practices of the Chan school. We prayed for rain. Sure enough, the dragons were kind, and KPIX reporter stood there with an umbrella as the sun went down and said, well, the Buddhists were right here in Golden Gate Park praying for rain, and we don't know what happened, but we're certainly glad they did it, as the rain fell down. So this is the dragons. So giving you this preparation, this prelude, what I had in mind is to share the notion that here in the Avatamsaka Sutra, we're getting the chance to look at the spiritual landscape of India from the point of view of a Buddhist text, a Buddhist sutra. And so a Buddhist lens looking at who Sudana was meeting as he traveled through India seeking the Bodhisattva path and Bodhisattva practices. So the Avatamsaka has a big wide angle lens looking at all the different features, all the phenomena, all the different aspects of real life in India and who he has to meet in order to accomplish the way. Not humans, non-humans, and the rest, right? So we are focused now on Tian Long Ba Bu. This is a group that we're going to be more and more familiar with the more we dig into Buddhist texts. Tian Long Ba Bu, Tian, devas, Long, dragons, Ba Bu, and the others of the eightfold pantheon, the others of the eightfold spiritual beings. The Tian and the Long, the devas and the dragons are the first two of the eight. So there's six more. So we're meeting them, and today we have another group. And we've got we have two paragraphs here that describe how the Avatamsaka wants us to understand Asuras. Okay? Are we ready to begin? Here we go. Here's our text. All right, I'll read the first paragraph and go to the English, and then the second paragraph. Here we go. 从胸前万字中出无数百千亿阿修罗王，皆悉示现，不可思议自在幻力，令百世界皆大震动，一切海水自然涌沸，一切山王无相冲击，诸天宫殿无不动摇，诸魔光明无不隐蔽，诸魔病重无不摧伏，普令众生舍骄慢心，除怒害心，破烦恼山，习众恶法，张五斗争，永共和善。Okay. Countless hundreds of thousands of millions of Ashura kings came from the Wan symbol on his chest, all of whom displayed mastery over inconceivable powers of illusion, and their arrival caused immense quaking within 100 worlds. All the waters of the ocean spontaneously bubbled and seethed. The kings of mountains crashed against one another. All the celestial palaces shook, and every demon's light was obliterated. Every demonic army was vanquished and subdued. They made all beings renounce their thoughts of arrogance, destroy their thoughts of anger and harming, smash their mountains of affliction, and put to rest all their evil dharmas. They freed them from contention and debate and showed them how to be harmonious and kind to each other. Whew, these are reformed Asuras. These are Asuras who have fully followed the Buddha to learn how to be better. These are Asuras leading their best lives, right? Okay, swastika. Where is my folder on swastikas? Let's see here. Okay, take a look. Swastika wan zi in Chinese. There is actually, take a look. This is interesting. It's important that we understand this here to get it straight. Here is the Chinese character. Look at that. It's a Chinese character. It's right there among the other Chinese characters. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes. It's a 5-stroke character. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's pronounced wan, okay? And on one hand, wan also means 10,000. Here, that's not what it means. Let's look at what is this. We just saw, what did we just see? We just saw Bhikshu Ocean Banner. Check his chest out. What's happening on the chest of this monk? He's got a swastika imprinted right on his chest. If you know anything about 20th century European history, that symbol on his chest will probably raise some questions for you. Why? Because Adolf Hitler, leading the Third Reich in the 1930s and 40s in Europe, created Nazi Germany. And that was his symbol that he proudly owned as the symbol of the success of the future dominance. You're going to change the world, an Aryan world. Why? Yeah, what does Bhikshu Ocean Banner have to do with a symbol of military domination of the world? Nothing. Because Hitler got it wrong. He was looking for a pure race. The Aryan race in pre-Hindu India had the symbol of the swastika turned around, that when the wind blows, it turns to the right. It's a symbol of good luck. It's a symbol of fortune. It means many children, many cows, wholesome crops, a good growing season. So food, kids, families, abundance, prosperity, all is good. That's what it means when it turns to the right. Adolf Hitler took it and turned it backwards, and obviously it's going to turn counterclockwise, which is is the wrong direction according to the Buddhists. So by twisting the symbol of good fortune backwards, and putting it on the flags of Nazi Germany, he ensured his own destruction. So, oops. So here is research. The swastika is a Sanskrit word. It means all is well. 4 arms of equal length, bent at a right angle. It's an ancient symbol found worldwide, sacred prehistoric symbol that predates all former religions known to humankind. In Nepal, India, Tibet, Hindu and Buddhist gods and goddesses hold swastikas. It's in Native American, the burial mounds at Chillicothe, Ohio, show you can find swastikas. They dug them up. Native Americans, Persians, Hindus, Jains, Buddhists. Swasti in Sanskrit means good fortune, good luck. Buddhists rate it only second to Om as a wholesome source of goodness. So once commonly used all over the world without stigma, because of Hitler's use of the swastika on the National Socialist German flag and everything else, the symbol was stigmatized. So it's not a Nazi emblem. Now it's outlawed in Germany. But for Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and others, the swastika continues to hold religious significance. Look at all the different appearances of the swastika. Hopi Indians, Christians, ancient Christians, Ceylon, China, Japan, Islam. Islam doesn't have much of an artistic, but just as a symbol in tiles for the mosques, etc. Bali, Aztecs, Jains, Greeks, Jewish, right? So, the Celts even. So how interesting that this is turning right, symbol of Ganesh, Vishnu, Kali. So Buddha images contain swastikas on the chest, on the feet. So this is an example of cultural misinterpretation. It's really tragic because as a monk over the years, I've gone to China and other parts of Buddhist Asia and had kind-hearted grannies knit me a scarf with swastikas embedded in the scarf. And you want to keep me warm? And Ami tofu, that's very nice. And I take it home and put it in the bottom shelf, because if I wear my swastika scarf on the streets of New York or Seattle, people are going to go, hey, what are you? I see you're a skinhead. What are you trying to do? You know, are you pro Hitler? It's like, just put the scarf away and try again. You know. So this is true. And yet in Buddhist Asia, if you don't know anything about the history of Western Europe in the 20th century, it's like, what's wrong with you? Swastika is good luck. The Buddha's got it on his chest. Yeah. So in the future, because it's talk about stigmatized. This is a stigma. Hitler ruined it. He made that symbol taboo because of the associations with it. And so as a result, in the future, we hope that there will be Buddha images created without the swastika. Just leave it off. Right? We can keep it auspicious in our minds, but that swastika as a symbol we don't want to go through this explanation every single time. All right, there we go. That's the wand. We call it a wand symbol, not a swastika even. The wand symbol. And here it is. And it turns to the right. And it's an actual Chinese character. There it is. So, in Asia, it's okay. In the West, it's taboo. Poison. So, countless hundreds of thousands and millions of Ashura kings came out of Bhikshu Hai Chuang, ocean banner, from the wand symbol. What did they do? Those Asuras came out. They displayed mastery over inconceivable powers of illusion. That's the first thing. That is to say, they can hide. Asuras have the ability to disappear in the Buddhist telling of their story. That's one of the things they can do. They can create illusions. And their arrival caused immense quaking within 100 worlds. Look what else happened. The waters of the ocean bubbled and seethed. The kings of mountains crashed against each other. Celestial palaces shook. Demons' light was obliterated. Demonic armies were vanquished and subdued. Okay, so this is external. Lots of movement, huge energy released when the Asuras appear. Why is that? Asuras are big. In Western mythology, they're called Titans. Titans are immensely huge. They're really, really big. Okay, now this is two things we've learned about them now, and this gets us into the story of Asuras. They can hide, they can become invisible when they need to, and they're also vastly huge. So now you see it, now you don't. And when you see them, they're huge, immense. Who are Asuras? Well, we get a clue when the second part of the description occurs here. When the Asuras show up out of the swastika, the one character on the chest of Ocean Banner, they bring about changes in people and beings. Beings renounce thoughts of arrogance, thoughts of anger and harm. Their mountains of afflictions, their evil dharmas are all subdued and transformed. And taken away. Furthermore, beings, when the Asuras show up, stop fighting with each other, they stop debating, and they're harmonious and kind with each other. Okay. Now, let's take these qualities, arrogance, anger, harming thoughts, afflictions, evil dharmas, contention, and debate, and flip it around and understand that these are qualities of Asuras before they meet the Buddha. All of the lay people, elders, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, who else? The dragons and the rishis, before they met the Buddha, were unimproved. They were their primal, original basic nature. After they meet the Buddha, those qualities transform. So the sutra shows us Asuras being kind, free from arrogance, anger, harming, affliction, evil, contention, and debate. They're kind-hearted, they're harmonious, they help others get along. So this is the third thing that we know about them. One is they can hide, they can be invisible. Number two, they're really big, and they shake things up. They're powerful. And then there's an internal quality, which is harmonious and kind and free from all of these thorny, fighting aspects. Okay? So we know these three things about them so far. Let's take a look at the next thing the sutra says about them, and then we'll go into the stories of Asuras and find out where they come from and what are the what's the backstory and why are they an entire group to come out of Bhikshu Haichuang's samadhi. Okay, go down there. Here we go. 复以幻力开悟众生，令灭罪恶，令不生死，令出诸趣，令离染着，令住无上菩提之心，令修一切诸菩萨行，令住一切诸波罗蜜，令入一切诸菩萨地，令观一切微妙法门，令知一切诸佛方便，如是所作周遍法界。There you go. Moreover, they awakened beings with the strength of illusion. They led them to eradicate their offenses. They led them to fear birth and death. They helped them escape from the destinies of reincarnation. They led them away from defilement and attachment, so they dwelt in the thought of unsurpassed Bodhi. They guided them to cultivate the Bodhisattva's practices. They taught them to stay with the paramitas and showed them how to enter all of the stages of bodhisattvahood. They taught them to contemplate subtle and wonderful Dharma, methods, and all the expedients of the Buddhas. Thus their deeds filled the Dharma realm. Okay, here we have Asuras teaching. They're teaching the Dharma. Boy, they are absolutely a big help to the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. As a member of the gods, dragons, and eightfold pantheon, they are doing the Buddha's work here. So, they awaken beings with the strength of illusion, strong illusions. Huan Li, Kai Wu Zhong Sheng. What would that be? How do you wake someone up with an illusion? Maybe, I remember trying to find what's really a challenge is to try to explain emptiness as a concept to people. because it sounds ridiculous. You go, okay, tell me if you hear this. You heard it, right? Is that empty? No, you heard it. So how can that be empty? Well, it's on the realm of cause and effect and phenomena, on the realm of duality, it really exists. But there is a realm where at this very same moment, it's empty of own being. It's empty of any different, distinct identity. And it depends entirely on ears and eyes, which have no fundamental identity either. So it's just vibration, which is made up of waves going through space. And if you look behind it, the earth, air, fire, and water of that bell only come together because of conditions. Okay, sounds a lot of words, right? People go, nah, it's not empty. What are you talking about? The strength of illusion. The first time we had a flat panel television, I remember I was trying to explain, I was in a lecture in I forget where it was, might have been Malaysia or Taiwan, and explaining emptiness from the Diamond Sutra, the Vajra Sutra. And people were going, that's really a hard sell for you to convince us that all dharmas based on conditions are like dreams, bubbles, lightning, like a shadow, like a dewdrop. I know you want us to contemplate them that way, but what are they like? And I said, okay. I said, are you watching the screen? Are you seeing the pictures on the screen? And yeah, we are. So I unplugged it. Black. Where'd they go? They're gone. Plug it back in. Oh, they're back. So when we're looking at the screen, technological marvel, cathode ray or solid state or whatever the technology is that's creating the flat panel that you can see the images on, it's still totally based on conditions. And if you remove the electricity, all the work that was going on in the mind, looking at the picture, interpreting it, reading the text on the screen, suddenly gone. It's an illusion based on electricity and high-tech calculations and transistors and microcircuits. And it's like, people went, wow, yeah, that's really true. It's an illusion, isn't it? Well, the strength of illusion can wake you up. All dharmas are the same. It's like, oh, right? Okay, you get the point. Strength of illusion. So what did the Asuras do? They, based on their ability to get into our minds and use images to wake us up to the existence of dharmas based on conditions, we turn around and say, boy, life is not permanent. Cause and effect is really true. Maybe I should start doing good because I want good results. Cause and effect. They led them to fear birth and death because it's coming. Just like in Game of Thrones, winter is coming. Likewise, the number one disease that we are all subject to is mortality. So let's get to work curing ourselves of that disease. They help them escape from the destinies of reincarnation, rebirth. They led them away from defilement and attachment, so they abide in the thought of Bodhi. People say, yeah, I'm really tired of just being ignorant. I want to be wise instead. They guided them to cultivate bodhisattva's practices. Meanwhile, I want other people to wake up too, so I can find a way to make wisdom attractive to them. People get tired of defilement. Love purity. That flavor is like nothing else. They taught them how to stay with the paramitas. The 6 paramitas, the ways across, ways to the other shore, take time to develop, right? Generosity, you have to give, and then you have to you get the well-being instantly, the more you give. But the receivers develop faith and trust in you, and you can come back, and then the things you say, they'll listen to it. So staying with the paramitas means, let's see, what was the Chinese here? 住一切, 住波罗蜜, stay with, to abide in the paramitas, to always understand these are, so giving and morality, generosity and purity and continued strength and patience, and then samadhi and wisdom. These are Bodhisattva's tools. And you abide in them, you live with them, you stay with them, and they become strengths, and they help us cross over. Show them how to enter the stages of the Bodhisattva path, how to contemplate subtle and wonderful Dharma methods, to just watch these techniques work. You have to see somebody put them to use. You have to see somebody like a real Kalyana Mitra, a real Dashan Jirshu, good and wise advisor, use expedient means to wake us up, and you go, wow, this actually works. Because why? People change their thoughts. People change their minds. That's power. You can build a bridge. You can stop a flood. You can put out fires. But changing people's thoughts, that's really hard. Thus their deeds filled the Dharma realm. Okay. What about Asuras? Let's look at Asuras. Here is a picture. Look at this picture. Here's an Asura king. This is from Borobudur, the stupa in Indonesia. And this is a boss Asura. He's got some Deva maidens, some female Asuras helping him out here. So this is another typical Asura image that you see. Asuras have become, this name has got a new life because of why? Because of video games. Huh. What are Asuras? Asuras are one of the 6 destinies, the 6 paths of rebirth in the desire realm. It's blended. Sometimes they say Asuras are happy, so they're between humans and devas, in between. Other times, when you look at Asura's behavior, they say that they are between animals and humans. Here we go. I want you to be able to see this image. It's not quite visible here. So there's 2 different ways that the Buddhists talk about them. There we go. So the interesting thing is, here is a story that bridges both Hinduism and Buddhism. And Asuras are talked about in the Vedas, ancient Sanskrit texts. They are an important part of the various branches of Hindu faith, and they have backstories. And by and large, I first learned about Asuras through the teachings of Master Hua, of course, and Shifu gave us the traditional understanding of Asuras. And what is it? It's that this is a category of being that not only do Buddhists and Hindus talk about, but they have a counterpart in Hellenistic teachings, in Titans. What do we know about the Titans? They're fighting with Zeus, the chief of gods, for rulership of Mount Olympus. What about the Asuras? They fight with Lord Shakra, Devanam Indra, for control of Mount Sumeru. Similar stories. That's interesting. So they do indeed bridge over the cultures and the mythology, the root ancient stories of the Hellenistic, Greek, Roman, civilizations and Indic civilizations. So the Buddhists, every time I talk about them, I'm going back and forth between Hindu accounts and Buddhist accounts because they're so similar, remarkable. And the idea, I'll just give you the Buddhist idea because that's the one that relates to our sutra, is that Asuras by nature love to fight. They say that Asuras are Sura. Sura means alcohol, wine, alcoholic drinks. So, hooch, powerful alcoholic drinks that will get you intoxicated. The Asuras came to the Tristrimsha heaven, the heaven of the 33 gods, drank Sura, or Shura, the wine, the alcohol, and got so drunk that they could be thrown out of the heavens by Indra, Chakra, and they fell down to the base of Mount Sumeru. From that time, as the story goes, they wanted to return to equal footing with the gods, or they wanted to subdue the gods because by nature they are combative. And so constantly they are busily mounting assaults, invading the ground, invading the heavens, invading the devas on top of Mount Sumeru. And they have the Shantong, they have psychic powers, they have the blessings that gods have, but they don't have the virtue that gods have because of that founding story where they drank too much and made themselves weak and were able to be defeated and thrown out of the heaven of the 33 by Chakra. Traditionally, the male Asuras are said to be very unattractive and pugnacious and nasty looking, really good fighters and huge, just vast. They can shake the mountains and overturn the seas. But the female Asuras are said to be very beautiful. And and yet their fighting is done, their contentious nature is the same. And they fight with things like jealousy and backbiting and gossip and such. So this is some of the story about Asuras. Now the Hindu stories talk about the ocean of milk. So apparently the ocean of milk, when it's churned, can produce the elixir of immortality. And through skullduggery, the story goes, the Asuras were busy churning the ocean of milk, hoping to get the elixir of immortality. And a female deva came down and seduced one of the Asuras and took the bowl away and stole the so on and on. So these are great stories about the source stories of where Asuras come from. And they are understood to be something similar to demons, but that's only part of the story. So as Master Hua, to say that Asuras are demons is not true. They are titans. They're hugely powerful, similar to devas, but lacking in the virtue of devas. They're incredible fighters. So as Master Hua told the story, he said the Buddhist approach says that Asuras appear in all the other realms. They can appear using the power of illusion. They can appear in the realm of humans. And in the realm of humans, that wholesome, unwholesome split is still there. the lack of virtue, but still the blessings. So in the human realm, asuras can be cops and robbers. The good ones are to protect and serve. They're the police. The negative ones are the robbers, trying to spread chaos for personal benefit, not caring about who they harm, what they take. In the realm of the military, asuras can be the greatest generals. In the realm of athletics, asuras can be the best competitors, the absolute champions in the realm of athletics. Asuras can appear in the realm of animals, as Shifu explained it. There is something called the Hai Chunjima, the horse that harms the herd. Anybody who's worked with horses knows that you can have an entire herd of horses, but they can be stampeded by one evil-minded horse or mischievous horse who instigates a stampede, even leading horses over the cliff. Hai Chunjima. This is a phenomenon that people who work with horses will know about. And yet there are also horses that can, in battle, be steadfast and protect their riders. So this is this amazing duality in the nature of asuras that that the Buddhists talk about. Great stories about asuras appear in the Avatamsaka Sutra, our very own text here. Notice how the group of asuras that comes out of the chest of Hai Chuang Bhikshu, they go about doing incredible Dharma deeds, right? They use the strength of illusion to appear in different assemblies of humans, devas, you would assume, animals, all these different realms. The asuras can take the form of these different beings and then do their job, do their work of teaching Dharma. Because why? The single hallmark of all these different realms that are appearing through Hai Chuang, of the gods and the dragons and the Eightfold Pantheon, the hallmark is they've met the Buddha. And once they meet the Buddha, they really want to wake up. They really want to get liberated. So they make the Bodhi resolve and go about teaching all these other living beings, right? So that's what's so cool about these asuras, is how they have gai e shang shan, right? They've turned away from their former arrogance and pride, and now they are teaching all beings to let go of those traits that they themselves have mastered. Okay, that's the story of the asuras here, that they are huge, vast beings, giant beings, and they can cause the world outside to shake and tremble. But more importantly is they have reformed and renewed all of their inner qualities as well. So arrogance, anger, harming, affliction, evil, done away with. And now they can teach others not to do that as well. All right. There is a chapter in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Here it is. Got it right here. We'll make it bigger. Just a minute. Here we go. All righty, here we are. This is the chapter known as the Shensho chapter. It's the worthy leader, or the leader of goodness chapter of the Avatamsaka Sutra, and it has specific teachings on asuras, a lot. It's kind of like a peek behind the curtain of the gods and dragons and Eightfold Pantheon, particularly Asuras, and what's going on in the heavens, Lord Chakra's realm. So it says, just as Asuras can transform their bodies and step into the ocean and still have the water just be up to their waist, although the ocean is bottomless, its waters only reach their waist. Their head rises level with Mount Sumeru. Look how big Asuras are. So this is Shifu's commentary. He says, Asuras have Shantong. They can transform their bodies so large that they stand on their feet reach the bottom of the ocean, but the water only comes to their waist. Their heads are even with the top of Mount Sumeru. Pretty scary. Now, are they really that big? This is their power of illusion that the sutra talked about. Okay, the next sutra goes, if those are still bound by this greed, anger, and delusion, and yet they have such incredible spiritual power, bodhisattvas can subdue demons, dispel enmity, and shine like lamps that illuminate the world. Could they lack this kind of tsudzai? No, they don't. So Asuras can do this, bodhisattvas can too. Master Hua explains, he says, Asuras have not cut off their greed, anger, and delusion. They also have the sexual desire in Yushin, but they cultivated the Mahayana teachings, so their Shantong are present. Bodhisattvas even more so. Okay, so here's another text from the Shenshopin. It says, when the gods and the Asuras go to war. Okay, here's the story. The Asuras have been cast out of the heavens by Chakra. They resent it. They want to go back and take charge. They want to take over. Their fighting nature, their contentious nature is there. So they attack. A drum booms out. It's called the Tiangu, the Deva's drum, and it says, here come the Asuras. The Asuras are coming. So Chakra calls out his soldiers. Can you imagine? You can be reborn as a god and still have to sign up for the draft, go to war. Chakra's spiritual powers are inconceivable. However many, no matter how many troops the Asuras bring to the fight, Chakra can make appear that same number of Deva soldiers. Tianjun, Tianshang, the Junren. They meet them in battle, and in the end, the Asura soldiers flee. They throw away their weapons, their shields, their armor, and they run. So, Shifu explains, why do the Asuras always fight with Chakra? Because in the past, Chakra wanted to destroy those who fought him, engaged in quarrels, and now the Asuras rise up and challenge. Shulo, no wine, it says. They're not allowed to drink. So he cultivated many meritorious deeds, and he has Shantong. So this is a Deva in the heavens who has spiritual powers, psychic powers. He learns the true principle of peace is that you have to resolve enmity. You don't tighten enmity. So now, this is really complex. Chakra's wife is an Asura, female. She is very beautiful. Her name is Indrani. Indrani is like Bhikshu Ni. She is the wife of Indra. So check this out. This is very interesting because here is a place where Hinduism and Buddhism overlap again. Here is Indrani. She's an Asura female married to Lord Chakra. Now this is very much a Hindu depiction of them. But look, they are riding on Airavana, depending on how you say it. The six-headed, sometimes say three-headed, multi-tusked white elephant, whom Chakra rides. Who else? Pushempusa. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva rides this elephant. So Indrani, the wife of Indra, sometimes Indra and Shakra are the same. Sometimes Shakra is known as Indra's husband. She was said to be extremely beautiful and seductive. Here she is on her elephant, her white elephant. And so this story, the reason to go down this rabbit hole, here is Shakra and his wife. There they are, the couple. The king of gods and the queen among gods of the 33, the heaven of the 33 gods. So here they are. The reason to talk about these details is to say, look at how complex these stories are, and the single unifying element. Here's the Avatamsaka Sutra telling these stories. The single unifying element here is that after they meet the Buddha, they all want to reform. They all want to follow him and learn the way to self-mastery over birth and death. They recognize that mortality is the number one foe. It's the biggest enemy. No matter how much wealth, no matter how much power, reputation you amass, when the time comes, you have to die. And the Buddha has a method, has a way to overcome that fundamental illness. They all want to do it. These beings are wise enough and they have enough good roots to want to get close to the Buddha and learn his methods. So there we go. Now, there's so much more to talk about the Asuras. We'll save it for another day. But coming to resume, to summarize, Sudana is watching his new teacher, Hai Trong Bhikkhu, Ocean Banner Bodhisattva, Ocean Banner Bhikshu, who is meditating in full lotus, in samadhi, and from the mark on the center of his chest comes this crowd of Asuras, Ashuro. So the next time you're playing a video game and you run across a group called the Asuras, understand that this is the 21st century's version of something deep, old, powerful, and subtle, multi-layers of story here. So there we go. That's the story of Asuras. Let's go out and look at your questions from today. Hold on here. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we are. From Guangdong, Reverend, some sutras I'm not reading at the moment. Can they be placed in the temple circulation area? 请问有些经书现在没有看了，不看，可以放在寺庙流通处吗？ Certainly you can, but ask the monk in charge. Go to the 流通处 and see who's overseeing it. Ask them if it's okay for you to respectfully put the sutras there. You can. Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to keep them at home? I have a story. We have a monk from Taipei who left home and got a bunch of Chinese originals and Master Hua's translations of 法华经、楞严经、华严经、金刚经、地藏经、弥陀经、42章经, all of these sutras that Shifu explained over time, 药师经, and put them in a glass case in his living room. Very nice, glass doors, and he kept it very zheng qi, and he would occasionally bring sutras out, recite, and then put them back in the case and all. And he would read them as well. And he went back to Wanfo. His sister was living in the house, and the apartment caught fire. It wasn't in their flat, but it was from a lower flat in the house, in the apartment building. And fires burned the place down. And when the fire department came, they discovered that everything else in the apartment was ash, but the sutras were unburned, untouched. And it was just an ordinary wood sutra case, ordinary wood cabinet with glass. The glass frosted over from the heat and melted, but the sutras were untouched. And the area around them was still unburned. So sutras are pretty special, and you might want to keep them around you, maybe. Not that you have to have a superstitious belief, but they are said to be for the Jenshan. The Buddha's true body is the Dharma. That's what the Buddha was made from. So yes, you can. Don't just drop them and run. People do that at Berkeley, and we're not happy. We have to. You don't want to treat the sutras like ordinary books. So go get permission if you want to leave them there, and they say sure. Why not? You might want to keep them. What does it mean to enter the original mind? What kind of state does entering the original mind manifest as? 什么才是入本心？入本心是一个什么状态? I don't know 入本心. That's not a phrase I'm familiar with. Maybe that's misheard. Possibly you didn't hear it quite right. It sounds vaguely like Buddhist language, but so I've heard of Mingxin Jianxing. How about that? You can also, I've heard of Xindi Faman. That's another phrase that has to do with the mind. So Mingxin Jianxing, let's work with that one. Can I give you that one instead? Ru Banxin. You're missing a word in there somewhere. So Mingxin Jianxing is the Chan school, talks about lighting up the mind and seeing your nature, right? So why is our mind not lit up right now? They say that our basic mind shines like 1,000 suns. It's really bright. The problem why we cannot Mingxin Jianxing is because our minds are covered with too many false things, too many false thoughts, too many things we're attached to, too many things we love and hate, too many ideas, too many preferences, too many biases and prejudices and stereotypes and things that we cling to. I know it's true because when I went bowing on my pilgrimage, every day I just didn't talk. I wasn't talking. All I had all day long was my mind to look at. And oh my goodness, it was just like entering in a mine. There's so many layers and layers and layers of false thinking and attachments. And they started to kind of spit them up as if a vacuum cleaner reversed and started spitting out the garbage. But after years of not talking and only looking at my mind, I felt like I had just removed a layer or two. There was deeper attachments. So if you want to Mingxin, to light up your mind, you can. We can. And I highly recommend it. That's what cultivation is. But it's not a quick process. Jianxing is the mind without false thinking, that first thought. So go to work. I would like you to tell me what happens when you Mingxin Jianxing. Okay? May I ask, how do I attain a mind free from attachments and bondage, a liberated mind? What's the foundation for inner samadhi? Recently, I've been trying to help my kid put down electronic devices. When I hear family members talk about worldly rights and wrongs, it feels as if garbage is dumped on me. During meditation, my legs hurt. When I become aware of the pain, I try not to discriminate between pain and no pain. However, the state of non-discrimination lasts only for a short moment, for just a few seconds. Then there's no discrimination. The pain seems to disappear, but then the discriminating mind always wins. I feel troubled and frustrated. These past few days, I'm easily angered. I'm truly living in a house on fire. Okay, so there's a lot of questions here. Here is one question. That's two questions. How do you get your mind free of attachments? What's the foundation for entering samadhi? Kids and electronic devices, family gossiping, pain and meditation, how to deal with it, and then trouble and frustration and anger. That's a lot of questions at once, and I appreciate that you think that I might be able to speak to those experiences. How about if we look at this first one? Okay, 这个里边问题太多了，一起问了就说5、6、7、8个问题一起。请问怎么做才能达到无着无福解脱心？ OK， 那个是一个问题。入三昧的基础是什么？那是第二个问题。最近孩子看电子产品，那是第三个问题。另外的，所以这个呢是怎么听到无着无福解脱心呢？那个是第9回向。我每个礼拜星期加州就星期天，澳大利亚中国台湾香港就是星期一，就是现在是变成下午，这里 Australia 是下午1点钟，星期一下午1点钟开始讲，在中国台湾是上午11点半，在万坡城是晚上7点半那么第9回向I switched into Chinese. Where do you come up with unbound mind free of attachment and bondage? That's the name of the 9th transference. That's the chapter of the Avatamsaka Sutra that I lecture on, particularly every Sunday night, 7:30 in California, every Monday afternoon at 1:30 in Australia, and in China, Taiwan, it's 11:30 in the morning. You want to know how do you get a mind free from attachment and bondage and that's liberated? So does the Bodhisattva. And in that chapter, it's nothing but instructions on how to do that. And the short answer is cultivate the way. Cultivate. Find a way. Find a method you like and work on it and work on it and work on it. And over time, you give away your attachments and your bondage. Your liberated mind is liberated from anger, confusion, affliction, just like you say. You say that you're getting angry more often, then look at what is frustrating you. Anger is the second step. The first step is desire that doesn't come your way, doesn't go your way. You don't get what you want, and anger results. So Buddha gave us greed, anger, delusion. Greed is you want the world to respond to your likes and to avoid your dislikes. When it doesn't work, anger is a result. Often out of anger, we do things that we regret. We fight for ourselves and get in trouble. We regret it later, so that's the delusion part. So what is the foundation for entering samadhi? Precepts. Precepts, samadhi, wisdom, just like that. Purify the mind, calm down. Then any practice will help you get to samadhi. Okay? So truly living in a house on fire, maybe just pick one practice. I would suggest bowing. Bowing to the Buddha. Bowing at your ancestral altar. Bowing in a quiet room. Make bows slowly. Watch your breathing as you bow. Every time you bow, you can say Namo Dabe Guan Shi Yin Pusa. Bow to Guan Yin Pusa. Stand up. Namo Dabe Guan Shi Yin Pusa. Namo Dabe Guan Shi Yin Pusa. Bow to Guan Yin Bodhisattva, and your house on fire will slowly, the more you bow, will feel like cool, clear, no smoke, nothing burning. Okay? one more here, Sacramento. If Pure Land cultivators cultivate successfully and reach Buddhahood, and then do they have to go back and practice Bodhisattva stages since they haven't learned those yet? Since as the Dharma king, they're supposed to know all the Dharmas. This sounds a little bit like a lawyer's case here. 如果净度新人往生后成佛了，那么他们是不是还需要回过头来修菩萨次第菩萨位次第因为他们是因地的并没有修这些，既然是法王就理应通达一切法门。我怎么知道呢？ How could I know? I haven't been to the Pure Land in this life. Maybe in the past, who knows? I hope I do in the future at some point. What I understand, so I can't speak on behalf of Bodhisattvas in the Pure Land who would become Buddhas and then have to. So, what I understand is that when you get to the Pure Land, I'm basing this on chapter 40 of the Avatamsaka rule. 不思议解脱境界普贤恒愿品第40品 Go to chapter 40, Samantabhada's Practices and Vows of the Avatamsaka, and it says that there you cultivate bodhisattva's practices for a long time. You learn all the expedient ways of teaching living beings, and then when the time comes, you become a Buddha in a world. Your vows bring you the living beings who you were supposed to meet, and you become a Buddha, and then enter nirvana, you divide your sharira. So while you're in the Pure Land, as I understand the Avatamsaka, you are cultivating all those bodhisattva practices. So you're already an expert at the bodhisattva path. 不怕，怕什么？哎呀，太多功夫吗？太辛苦了，不会。哎呀，已经是佛，哎呀，回头啊。 哎呀，再去53位，这么辛苦啊，不干，去受洗算了。Nope, don't worry. Okay, we're gonna stop. We'll get back to our Anju later. All right. Thank you for spending yet another Sunday afternoon here in Australia, Saturday evening in California, looking into the Avatamsaka Sutra. We learned today about Ashuras. Amazing. And maybe your favorite sports star, maybe your favorite soccer hero is actually an Ashura. Because they are so skillful with nobody can beat them. But the other side also has Ashuras on their team. Interesting. So the best protectors of public safety are Ashuras, and the bad guys who they subdue are also Ashuras. Interesting. It's a really interesting way of looking at the people around us in the world. And in the Sutra, they have all made a resolve to help the Buddha teach the Dharma. Okay, we'll see you all next week for, let's see. Hold on. Who's coming up next? Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas. So wait, Sheng. They're already in a samadhi. They're already in a kind of nirvana. They have ended birth and death, but they are not yet bodhisattvas. And they will teach their beings. Then we have yakshas and rakshasas, ghost kings. Ooh, terrifying beings who are coming because they met the Buddha. Then we get Kinara kings, music spirits. So all of these different beings that are emerging from Ocean Banner we're getting a look at the spiritual landscape of India surrounding Sudana as he goes on his quest for awakening. All right? Should we make a transparent dedication of merit, make a wish? Here we go. minds as one and radiant with light. Share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see have hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. We will bow to Guanyin Bodhisattva before we're done. Here we go. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. That's going to do it for us for today. We'll see you all next week. Amitofo, everybody. Bye now.
Recording stopped.